There's a hierarchy in every room you walk into, whether you notice it or not. And here's the truth. The powerful aren't looking at everyone. They're not scanning the entire crowd with equal attention. They're only watching two kinds of people, the ones who stand out and the ones who vanish the second they walk in. And here's the twist. Disappearing isn't about being quiet, humble, or introverted. It's about carrying habits that silently broadcast one word: irrelevance. Machiavelli never wrote for the masses. His words were aimed at rulers, people who understood that being visible has nothing to do with being the loudest voice in the room. It's about being felt. And if you carry the wrong habits, you won't just be ignored, you'll be erased. To power, to opportunity, to respect. Let's start with the first habit. You enter rooms with your energy pointed inward. Think about it. When a powerful person walks into a room, their awareness expands. They scan, they assess, they dominate without a word. But when a weak man walks in, he folds into himself. His posture collapses. His eyes drop to the floor instead of claiming space. His energy retreats like he's trying to disappear. To the powerful, this man doesn't exist. He's not even worth evaluating. Because if you don't value your own presence, why should anyone else? Machiavelli understood appearances as weapons of influence. And if you make yourself invisible, you've already done your enemy's work for them. The moment you step into a room, that's your first test. Your shoulders should lead the way. Your eyes should scan with intent. Your energy should project outward, not fold inward. Don't wait to be noticed. Move like you already expect to be. The second habit, speaking with apology in your tone. Even if your words are strong, your tone can betray you. You know the sound, rising intonation at the end of sentences, soft trailing off, endless ums, likes, and sorries. You might think you're being polite, but to someone with power, what they hear is, "I don't believe what I'm saying. Please approve of me." Machiavelli saw speech as a weapon, measured, controlled, intentional, never desperate, never shaky, and never shaped to win consensus. If you want to project strength, train your tone to be calm, flat, and final. Speak slowly with fewer words but more weight. Let silence do the rest. Never fill space just to prove you're listening, because the moment you stop sounding unsure, people start leaning in. The third habit, laughing too easily. Laughter is a signal. It says, "I agree, I'm harmless. I'm here to keep the mood light." That's fine in casual life, but in the game of power, it can cost you, especially when you laugh at something that isn't funny, when it's nervous, or worse, when it's aimed at you. Powerful people test others with tone. They make a risky, sarcastic, or borderline rude comment, and then they wait. They're not watching to see if you're offended. They're watching to see if you'll laugh to win their approval. The moment you do, you've given away your power. You've told them you'd rather be liked than respected. If someone disrespects you, don't smirk to smooth it over. Go silent. Hold that tension. Let them wonder how you'll respond, because when they can't read you, they can't control you. The fourth habit, over-explaining simple things. Someone asks you a question, you give an answer, and then you keep going. You add backstory, disclaimers, softeners, and unnecessary details. Not because it's needed, but because you're trying to justify your right to speak. This reeks of insecurity, and powerful people have no patience for it. You might think, if I just explain it clearly enough, they'll understand me. What they're really thinking is, if he needs this many words, he's not worth listening to. Machiavelli knew the danger of excess, because the more you explain, the more control you give away. Answer, then stop. Let silence carry the rest. Speak like your time is expensive. If they want more, they'll ask. If they don't, move on. These aren't random personality quirks. They're invisible disqualifiers. Subtle cues that tell the powerful, this person isn't ready. This person doesn't believe in himself. This person can be ignored without consequence. And here's the brutal truth. There are no second chances in power games. By the time you realize you've made the wrong impression, the moment's already passed. The decision about you has already been made. Machiavelli understood that every environment is a battlefield, not with swords, but with posture, tone, presence, and silence. If you don't know how to weaponize those things, you'll lose before you even start. The fifth habit, waiting to be included. You sit at the table, but you don't speak unless spoken to. You linger on the edge of conversations, hoping someone will pull you in. You wait for permission, socially, professionally, emotionally. This kills presence because it signals dependence. It says, I'm not sure I belong here. Can someone else decide for me? Powerful people never wait for a seat at the table. They take it, without arrogance, but with certainty. They know value doesn't knock. It walks in. So don't ask, is it my turn? Take the turn. Add value. Then go silent. The ones who hesitate are forgotten. The ones who speak once, with weight, are remembered. The sixth habit, apologizing for your standards. You have boundaries, preferences, and non-negotiables. But the moment someone questions them, you soften, you explain, you backtrack. The second you treat your boundaries like something that needs defending, you lose power. Machiavelli understood that standards aren't about morality, they're about calibration. If you apologize for them, you make them negotiable. If you hold them without comment, they become law. Say no without flinching. Decline without explaining. Walk away without signaling pain. Standards stated without justification are sacred, and sacred things command respect. The seventh habit, overusing praise. You think compliments build connection, but flood them too often, and they lose value. Saying nice job or that's amazing every other sentence doesn't make you seem warm. It makes you seem needy. Machiavelli would tell you that constant praise signals a desire to be liked. And if you want to be liked, you can be controlled. Praise should be rare, specific, and deliberate. Delivered like a reward, not a reflex. When admiration is disciplined, it becomes a signal, and powerful people respond to signals, not noise. The eighth habit, mirroring too much. You match their tone, slang, laugh, even their posture. You think it builds rapport, but it erases your identity. The more you reflect someone else, the more you blur your own edges. When your identity becomes fluid, they stop seeing you as an equal. Unconscious mirroring says, I'll be whoever you need me to be, just keep me around. And the moment they sense that, respect vanishes. Keep your natural tone even if it clashes. Don't adjust your body language just to fit in. Let there be tension. People with nothing to prove don't dissolve themselves, and that solidness sparks curiosity. The ninth habit, showing gratitude first. Gratitude is powerful, but timing matters. If you thank someone before establishing your presence, you frame yourself as the subordinate. Thank you for your time, or thanks for having me might sound polite, but in a power dynamic, they can come across as, this meeting benefits me more than it benefits you. Delay gratitude. Establish yourself first. Speak as an equal before expressing thanks. If you walk in thanking someone for letting you be there, you reinforce the lie that you didn't belong. Power doesn't respect what crawled in. It respects what walked in head high. These 9 habits don't scream weakness. They whisper it, and those whispers are deafening to the powerful. They don't analyze you, they feel you. And if the feeling says, this one bends, this one shrinks, this one disappears, you vanish from their radar, and once power forgets you, so does opportunity. When you start killing these habits, the shift is instant. The air around you changes. People pause before they speak to you. They ask you questions differently. They adjust their tone without you saying a word. Not because you demanded respect, not because you became louder or more aggressive, but because you removed every signal that made you ignorable. What's left is presence, and presence is something the powerful cannot afford to overlook. You don't become visible to power by chasing attention. You become visible by becoming undeniable. Most people beg to be noticed. They perform, they soften, they overexplain. They smile too quickly. They seek approval with every gesture and phrase. They think visibility is something granted by others. Machiavelli knew better. Visibility is claimed, not given. And once you drop the behaviors that dilute your presence, people begin to react to you differently. Not because you've changed what you say, but because you've changed what you signal. The next habits dig even deeper, straight into the core of how you move through the world. The 10th habit, constantly seeking emotional safety in conversation. You walk into a room and immediately scan for friendly faces. You test the tone of the group before you speak. You measure every reaction to your words, and you adjust mid-sentence if someone's expression shifts. Why? Because you want everything to stay smooth. You want to avoid tension. You're addicted to emotional safety. Here's the Machiavellian reality. If you fear conflict, you will always serve the one who doesn't. Power thrives in tension. The powerful don't shy away from making people uncomfortable. They lean into it. They say things that challenge. They ask questions that unsettle. They allow discomfort to hang in the air without rushing to fix it. When you're constantly trying to keep things nice, you become the social janitor, cleaning up every mess, smoothing over every ripple, all at the cost of your own presence. Let people feel uneasy around you. Let your words land heavy. Let silence stretch until it demands a response. If you're unshaken by emotional chaos, people begin to respect you, not because they like you, but because they can't move you. And that's when influence begins. The 11th habit, avoiding physical space. You sit with your legs crossed and shoulders folded in. Your arms stay tight to your body. You occupy the smallest footprint possible. You think it's humility, but it's actually submission. Your body is saying, I'm not a threat, ignore me. Machiavelli saw every room as an arena, and in an arena, your body speaks first. The powerful don't have time to decode your ideas if your posture already says you're irrelevant. Sit like you belong there. Keep your chin level, shoulders squared. Use your hands when you speak. Take up space, not aggressively, but unapologetically. The body trains the mind. When you expand physically, your energy follows. You stop existing in the room, you start anchoring it. The 12th habit, over-identifying with good intentions. This is a trap almost everyone falls into. You think, I didn't mean to sound weak. My intentions were good. I meant well. But here's the thing, power doesn't care about what you meant. It only reacts to what you signal. You assume others should be able to see your depth, your intelligence, your kindness. But Machiavelli would laugh at that assumption. Goodness without perception is worthless in the realm of influence. Intentions are silent. Signals are everything. If you come across as needy, unsure, or apologetic, no one will stop to consider your heart. They'll simply decide you're not sharp enough, not steady enough, not ready. Stop hoping people will reward you for what you meant. Start owning how you come across. Adjust your behavior, not just your inner reasoning. In power dynamics, perception is reality. The 13th and deepest flaw, treating influence like something to be earned. You believe you have to prove yourself first, to work long enough, serve loyally enough, or wait for someone to give you permission to matter. Machiavelli would tell you bluntly, influence is not earned, it is assumed. And if it's assumed with enough certainty, it becomes real. Those with power walk into rooms like they already belong there. Not arrogant, not loud, just anchored. They don't wait for credit to act like they matter. They move as if the room will adjust to them, not the other way around. Stop thinking your work will speak for itself. It won't. Stop waiting for someone to tap you on the shoulder. It won't happen. Start moving like the spotlight is inevitable, and people will start watching you before they even know why. When you treat influence as something to claim, you stop acting like a guest and start acting like the host. And that's when people notice, because your presence stops being optional. Now you've seen all 13 habits. And here's the hard truth. You've probably been carrying some of them for years. Not because you're weak, but because no one ever told you they were silently erasing you from the minds of people who could change your life. Every soft tone, every over-explained answer, every nervous laugh, these weren't harmless quirks. They were quiet acts of self-erasure. Powerful people aren't blind. They're filtering. They scan a room and, without realizing it, they eliminate anyone who smells of compliance, apology, or unclaimed identity. Not to be cruel, but because time is limited, and power only moves toward other power. You weren't rejected. You were invisible. Weakness doesn't crumble all at once. It erodes quietly like stone underwater. The first cracks are almost invisible, but to a trained eye, they're impossible to miss. Machiavelli noticed the third sign in the way people abandon their own words. They speak boldly one day, but when confronted, they retreat, softening their stance, rewriting history, pretending they never said it that way. A strong person can be wrong, but they own it. They correct themselves without fear because their strength isn't in being right, it's in being real. The weak, however, treat every challenge like a threat to their existence. They panic, scramble, reshape themselves to fit the moment because deep down they know their words were never rooted in conviction, only convenience. To Machiavelli, this was fatal. If a man couldn't stand by his word, he wouldn't stand by you when the knives came out. The final sign was the most dangerous because it didn't show in words or even in actions. It showed in the gaps, in what people refused to do when it mattered most. Machiavelli saw it in battle, in politics, in the back rooms where empires were traded like coins. When the moment came to act, to risk, to commit, to strike, the weak hesitated, not because they didn't know what to do, but because they feared what would happen after. They worried about judgment, about safety, about the comfort they'd lose if they dared to move. And in that hesitation, their fate was sealed. Opportunities slipped through their fingers, enemies advanced, alliances shifted. While they were still deciding whether the water was too cold to swim in, Machiavelli knew this truth. A single moment of hesitation can undo a lifetime of appearances, because in the end, the weak aren't destroyed by their enemies. They are destroyed by their own pause.